Hello everybody, we have a great opportunity today. We are just outside of Gettysburg. We're on a property that I got permission from a good buddy of mine, Zach, and his dad gave me permission. And I think we might, I don't know, it's either going to be hit or miss today. I did some research before I came here, and about a mile away from here, a Union general and his troops were camped the night before the Battle of Gettysburg. And there is a creek just behind me. We've been getting hammered with storms. I think today is probably like the 5th sunniest day of the year. It's been ridiculous. So we are gonna just test the depth. It doesn't look too swift. The depth is the part that kind of worries me. Not ideal conditions all the way around, but we're going to make do with what we can. And I think just to start, there's a bunch of different little clearings and paths around here. Zach said I'm more than welcome to dig around there, and of course I'm going to always fill my holes up after I dig them. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, it's either going to be hit or miss, but I'll turn the camera back on once we get a good hit. Okay, I did just get a hit, but it wasn't a good signal. It was just a piece of wire, an iron signal. But I wanted to dig it anyhow, just because I want to get a sense of what all's here. But I just looked over here on this tree. Look at that guy. Isn't he gorgeous? That is a huge caterpillar. I'm not even sure what type that is, but pretty cool. So still haven't found anything yet. Been finding a lot of false positives, and this whole area right where I'm in is pretty trashy, but I think it's safe to say it's mostly wire, because that's all I've been digging so far. I mean, I could spend time all day digging this out. I just got to pick and choose my battles. So I was trying to move closer to where the place was that the Union general and his men would have camped, kind of more in that direction, but it starts to get overgrown, so I'm not going to be able to go very far at all. So I think the path goes a little further on the other side, and I think I'm going to try over there, try and get out of this trashy area and see if I find anything. So I got a semi-decent signal right here as I was heading to the other side. It kind of is in that range of where a Sharps bullet or a Civil War bullet could be, but there's trash right above it, so my hopes aren't too high, but I'll let you listen to it. So it's kind of reading in the 50s there, in that range, bouncing around a little, but you can kind of see, I can zoom in. There we go. Kind of see there's a piece of trash right there, so it could just be can slaw or something like that. I'm not too sure, but we're gonna dig it up and we'll see what it is. So I found the target. It wasn't a bullet. It was junk, but it was a valuable valuable metal. Can't speak today. I didn't get much sleep last night. Little piece of copper. I don't know what it could have been from, but valuable metal, at least by today's standards. Okay, I got another signal here. I have the iron audio on. It's grunting a little bit. Kind of bouncy, kind of high. I'm thinking it's just a can. It's not very consistent, but and it's fairly the size of a can would be, but we're gonna dig it. Okay, I found the target. I checked the hole. It's just a piece of scrap. I wasn't too far off from a can. It's just a bottle cap. There's some spring onions in there too. I'm not sure where they come from, but we'll keep looking around. I'll just take this for scrap, I suppose. Okay, I got my first consistent signal, and it's showing up in the coin range, so that's good. And it's maintaining right around 75, and it's fairly deep, as you can see. So hopefully that's something good. That's a good sign, for sure. That is a definite good signal. So here's that coin. That really ticks me off. That's actually the first time I've ever had can top come up as a coin signal and remain consistent. It must have been laying like perfectly flat to do that. So I was just making my way over here by the creek, and I'm seeing all sorts of cool sights, at least, if I'm not finding anything. Look over here. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. I'm not familiar with my birds, but you see that thing there in the middle. I think that's like a crane. It's over there trying to look for fish. And you can see this is the first clear shot of the creek too. The current is, it doesn't look too swift, but it's a little misleading. I'm probably going to get in soon just to test it out. I'm not sure how deep it is. But that is a pretty cool sight, seeing that bird at least. Okay, so I found something slightly interesting, I guess. I didn't film it, digging it, in the signal. But it's showing up as a kind of like another aluminum can signal. And that's what I think it is. I think it's made out of aluminum. It's not a can though. I'll show you what it is. So I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's looks like some kind of divider maybe to a tackle box. But it's like a different like sliding mechanism on it. So I'm not sure, quite too sure. Guess we'll save it for scrap. No, it's not valuable, whatever it is, but interesting. We're nearing the end of the path too, and we'll definitely have to come back here in the fall. That's the only downside of using this path. Zach said this path's pretty much been here, I guess, since the 70s, and they came in here and selectively clear-cut different trees, and I'm just finding like cans and trash metal everywhere. So I don't think we're going to have much luck on the land today. And the creek looks pretty swift, but I'm going to test it out. I'm not going to go too far. I'm just going to test it out at first. So here's something interesting I wanted to show you guys that I forgot to show you earlier on the way back this path. Zach actually showed me this. You can kind of see the markings of this tree here, or something's been gnawing at it. That is a beaver that's been making those marks. That's really cool. I haven't seen that too often out in the wild. And you can see eventually it'll be gnawed away. It hasn't been gnawing away at it in a while though. Probably because it's too rainy. But that's pretty cool. There's another one over there, over to the left of me, that was chomped down. So it's pretty cool. So you can see we're out here in the water now. Just that far from the bank. Water's already up to just past my shins. Testing it out, it does get a little deeper. I'm not sure how much more. Like I said, we had a lot of rain. It's very murky because of the rain and very muddy. So it's a little dangerous because you can't really see what's at the bottom. I'm just going to test it. So what I'm doing is I'm just slowly easing it, testing it with my detector to see how deep it is, and working my way out. The current actually is not that bad. It does look kind of swift, but really it's not. It's just the danger is just not really seeing the bottom. And Zach pointed out that there is a fallen tree up there, so we got to be careful. I'm not sure how much detecting we're going to do here in the water, but we're going to take it slow for sure. Okay, I do have a signal here, but there's no iron with it, and I don't think we're going to be able to use our trusty new tool. I have this pick here with a magnet on the end that I just made. So we're going to try and see if we can get it with our pinpointer. It's not too far deep where it's going to scare me. See if we can maybe find it. Okay, so I found that target. It was just a piece of modern scrap metal. I'm not sure what it is. Looks like a rivet or something. Surprisingly easy to find too. It didn't take me that long since the last little clip you've seen. Okay, so somebody likes to play nasty games with me. I got 2 bullet signals out here so far, and they were both pull tabs. I am just, I'll tell you what, I just did not have the luck. I mean, it's old. That's good, I guess. But, yeah, 2 bullet signals, both pull tabs. I couldn't believe that. Okay, I managed to work my way around to where I started. Made a full circle. I just did not have luck today. I tried it out in the creek. I'm sorry I didn't really get any footage. It was just, not that it was deep. It was just, well, it was sort of deep, but not deep enough where it would be dangerous. But I didn't want to lose my camera, and even though it was clipped to me, I have to unclip it to film. And if I dropped it, it would be gone for good. Of course, I could have picked it up with my magnet, but then it would be ruined. So, either way, I would be out of luck. But I managed to work my way around. I'll show you here where what I did. So I started right off here. The bank is actually pretty steep, but there's a nice little hill that brings you down to the creek. So I just I hung around in here a little bit. I wish I would have known it got shallower down there. I started working my way up there. Zach said it did get deeper, but I wasn't sure how soon it did, and it got deep pretty quickly. I'd like to come back here when the creek does definitely come down and detect up there a little bit more, up to the bridge. There's a bridge up there, and then but what I did is I just worked my way this way because it got a little bit more shallower and more manageable. And if you can see off there in the distance, there's some rapids. It gets a little deeper further down, and then it evens off, gets more shallow. Just unfortunately, the conditions were just not good at all. I mean, here, yeah, it was deep. The water wasn't very swift, which was nice. But then I had the opposite problem up there, where it was not deep at all, but the water was very swift. So I couldn't win either way. But Zach said I could definitely come back here, so I'm going to take him up on that offer. So I'm going to show you some of the few things that I did manage to find, which I'm not giving up on this area yet because they're good indicators that this is a decent area. So as you can see, nothing good at all today. These are the false positives I was getting that I just had to dig. Unfortunately, the pull tabs, whether they be new or old, show up right in the same range and tone as a bullet. So, you know, I had to dig them. I shouldn't say I didn't have fun though. It definitely kept me on my feet when I got those signals. But I did manage to find all these. Now I found all these and managed to retrieve them because it was just too deep and they were too little to get by hand. Did manage to get all these, I'm thinking they're square nails. They certainly look like they are on the top. And they're pretty long here and iron encrusted. I did manage to gather a bunch of those. So there may have been an old structure around here at one time. This is the only thing questionable. I have no idea what it is. It rang up like a bullet, but it feels absolutely way too light. I'm pretty sure it is not a bullet unless it very well could be just a small part of campfire lead. But I know lead's kind of heavy. This doesn't really have any kind of heaviness to it. It's not really bendable. Air piece just chipped off, so it's not foil per se. I don't know, but like I said, I'll definitely be back in this area. So now I got about a mile hike out, which is fine. I told Zach that's not a big deal at all. He was nice enough to drive me down here, and now I just got to walk back. So fortunately though, at least it's a nice day. It's not as foggy on the land as it is in the water. So I'm going to start walking back to my car, and I think I'm actually going to head into Gettysburg for an hour and maybe just look around. There's actually a metal detecting shop I want to check out. I think if it's still open, I know he was looking at closing it and going out of business, because I think he's fairly older. I think his name's Don. So I brought a few of my relics along, some better ones I found from previous hunts, including that belt buckle from the previous video, and I just wanted to see if I could get a verification as to how old it is. I think I know how old it is, but I I want to see what he says. And I also brought my tomback button, see if he could give me more information on that. So, alright, well folks, I will see you guys next time. Hopefully we'll be back here in a few weeks. I think perhaps next week I might be back to where I was in the previous video where I found that belt buckle. It's up by my mom and dad's, and I've been meaning to visit them, so maybe we'll pay a trip to the creek as well. It's already August, so there's not too much summer left, so I want to get into the creek as much as I can to do some hunting. So we'll see you next time. Take care.